Donne ça dessus.
Ah, solaire. Oui, oui, oui.
Je les avais pas.
Ah,
Je les avais juste laissé dans sa caméra.
je pourrais t'en trouver.
Non, j'ai dit.
Ah.
Ouais, mais attends.
Peut-être une paire.
Hi, Christina.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Hi, Christina.
Nice to meet you, Christian.
Christina,
Nice to meet you.
Hi, Christina. Nice to meet you.
Okay, good morning everyone. My name is Colleen. I'm the Executive Director from MICC 2016, and on behalf of the Executive Committee, I would like to welcome you all to MICC 2016 Presentation Day. Before we begin, I ask that you please turn off any cell phones or electronic devices. And the presentation will be 15 minutes long, followed by a 15-minute Q&A. The timing of the presentation will be done by Jake, and he will notify the participants when they have 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute, and 30 seconds remaining. So the timer will also notify the judges when the question and answer period has ended. Judging in this room, we have Christina Batista from LCI Education, Christine Morin from Panama, Maria Pont, former Rio Tinto executive, Sophie Blanger from Modo, Monica Benedizek from KPMG, Elvenia Lavos from Sidley, and Joanne Lucia from Kinderville. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming VI Norway.
So a wise man once said, I have a dream. And Katio's dream was to sell his chili beans in the US, Brazil, and the rest of the world. But he's been having some troubles with his dream recently, which is why we're here today to introduce our 3 C's of organizational growth. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kristin. And with me, I have Joshua, Christian, and Emil, and we're from VI Norwegian Business School. So today, chili beans has been experienced an enormous growth in the Brazilian market, which is reflected by your huge market share of 22%, and you also have a very strong brand. And you've been using a very intuition-based approach when it comes to moving into new markets, and you've also been moving into some new sales channels, which is online. But we're seeing some challenges ahead. In Brazil, we're facing some unstable market conditions. In the US, we have not yet succeeded in catching on our brand. And our international franchises have been seeing some troubles in operational efficiency. So what we want to do today is to ensure our company's future success while still maintaining the balance between our entrepreneurial nature and a more data-driven approach to success. So our strategy is in 3 parts. The first one is to conquer the US by implementing new HR measures and sales channels. Furthermore, we want to continue growth in Brazil by focusing on new product categories and some new sales channels as well. And we want to captivate the new markets by helping out our franchisees. So we'll firstly move on to the US.
Thank you, Kristin. So Katio's dream, goal, and 3rd child has been to conquer the US. Today we're going to present to you a foundation and innovation that will help you do this. So the US eyewear market is an ocean of opportunity. We see a market size of $37.5 billion. We also see this rise of flash fashion, brands like Zara being really successful. These are brands we can relate to. However, there are some problems with the employees. This foundation that Chili Beans really stands for hasn't really inspired the employees in the US as much. We see 4 possibilities for US operations. We want to go into the rinse and repeat and the expand. This is where we rinse and repeat and create a foundation for further growth. And we also want to expand into e-commerce in the US. So our peace, love, and rock and roll strategy will create a foundation for success in the US. Here we really want to hire and find people in peace with our values and what we stand for. This is a 4-stage hiring process, and I'll go into that later. We also want to find, or we want our employees to love chili beans like they do in Brazil. We really want this to become a sort of religion. How we're going to do this? With 2 programs, Fund Your Dreams, and also the From Floor to Franchise Owner program, and Rock and Roll program. This is, we don't only want our employees to rock and roll in the center of the party, but also rock and roll on the sales floor. How we're going to do this? We're going to create the most knowledgeable set of employees in the industry. So the step-by-step process to have hiring employees in peace with our values is, 1, we got to set a high quality standard for everyone we bring into interview. We also want the interviewers to really understand the values and culture that Chili Beans stands for in everywhere in the world, especially in the US. And 2, we want to become more proactive in the hiring process. We want to find these people that really are aspiring musicians, artists, etc. Go onto Instagram, SoundCloud, YouTube, and find them. And thirdly, objectivity is really important here. Sure, you've had some success in the past with finding employees with a glint in their eye. We really want to make sure there's a structured guideline for finding them every time. And so we kind of here want to implement the strategy here for maybe a sales associate in Brazil who's totally objective, interview a sales associate in the US. Then they know all the values and the cultures, and they also bring that they're not really objective in any part of the interview process. And last but not least, we want them to love us, no matter if they get the job or not, because they value the same values as we do. So this is the love part of the program. Basically, we're funding dreams, funding aspiring artists by giving them a possibility to get a 25% position, but 100% pay. This will give them leeway to follow their passion and their dreams. Also, the Florida Franchise program is also a program where we kind of create a set career ladder so they can follow it all the way up. This also, here we'll also implement a savings program and also a loan eventually when they get up there to become a franchise owner. Nextly, Joshua will talk about e-commerce in the US.
Right, thank you, Christian. So when it comes to e-commerce, we see that augmented reality is the new thing on the block. First of all, we see that cosmetic companies are trying to implement augmented reality because it enables them to showcase their products much more effectively, especially for their tech-savvy customers. We believe that this is exactly what Chili Beans needs. It is a small change that you can put on your website, yet it has a profound impact on the way your customers interact and shop. Therefore, we introduced this augmented reality mirror onto Chili Beans' website, which will try to recreate the experience of actually being at a physical store. Furthermore, people can take snaps of themselves wearing the cool glasses and spread it to their friends on social media, thereby educating their friends about the new releases, the different brands, and spreading the awareness about Chili Beans' brand values. Alright, the next program we have is called Picking Peppers. This program will create opportunities to spread brand awareness even more. How does it work? First of all, customers pick 3 sunglasses that they love, then it gets delivered to them, they get to touch them, try them, and even taste them, and they get to keep what pleasures them. We believe this is exactly the way Kaito would have wanted to done e-commerce. And we see no better way because when customers receive the sunglasses they love, they get to examine them physically, they get to touch them, and then they get to tell their friends about the awesome new product that they have. No doubt this could be a complicated matter in terms of logistics, but we have looked into that. We believe that by partnering up with a third-party logistics provider, such as OHL, who is well known to be one of the best logistics company in terms of e-retailers and e-fulfillment, they're able to provide timely and high-quality logistics. This could work by having Chili Beans send an order to OHL and have them deliver it. And when it comes to returns, OHL could similarly provide small parcel delivery services back to chili beans. The main advantages of teaming up with OHL is that they provide rapid shipping. Within just 2 days, they're able to reach all the US customers, and with their warehouses strategically located, they can reach 70% of the US population. They provide a flat fee of around $9, and they're able to ship from warehouses all the way from LA to Miami. Next, I'll move on to the strategy in Brazil.
Okay, so what we're seeing in Brazil are some unstable conditions. We're seeing some declines in GDP, and we're seeing that the growth rates of our new and existing stores are declining. But at the same time, we're seeing that the Brazilian population is getting more and more disposable income, and they're moving more and more online and at a very fast pace. So what we want to do is capitalize on these trends and position our company for success in the longer term.
So we want to boost Brazilian growth by leveraging internet adaptation. The way we'll do that is we'll implement cross-device online platforms, which people log in with a Facebook account. Then we'll use a company called Tapa. They have marketing analytics. And what they do is that they allow you to tailorize your marketing strategy to specific devices per person. And then this in turn will allow us to reach many more persons more effectively, which will drive our revenue and EBITDA.
Yes. And furthermore, we want to take a look at the conditions. In Brazil, we're seeing that prescription glasses are less seasonally affected than our other products. So we want to hedge for fluctuations in our bottom lines by moving into this market. We're also seeing that the prescription glasses are becoming more and more of a fashion statement among young Brazilians. So we want to use this and introduce a campaign on Facebook where we allow our users to share photos of themselves with our products, and then they can get and the ones who get the most activity for our company will get some free glasses, and they'll also get some discounts, which will drive more revenues. So now we'll move on to the international strategy.
Okay, so what we'll do here is that we want to spread Kaito's brand across the world, his democratic brand. And the way that works is that we have to get control of these international franchisees. We see the main challenges in operational autonomy and in creating marketing impact. The way we'll address those problems is by maximizing franchisee sales through establishing international chili consultants. They will have responsibilities within regional areas. Furthermore, they'll help select product portfolios that are optimal for that country and adapt the marketing campaign themselves. Then, going on, we'll see that the main way to create high impact in new markets is through kind of setting up parameters at which they had achieved success earlier, and then looking at new markets. Okay, we've had success here, that country has the same, we can use our intuition on the same market now and then achieve efficient and low-cost marketing implementation.
Alright, now walking you through the implementation plan, we believe that establishing logistics with OHL and picking peppers can be completed within 2016. And for the growth in Brazil, we can implement the negotiated deal with Tapa, as well as continue to monitor and evaluate our data-driven targeting services. And as well as for the international chili consultants, we want to set them up with the franchises and get them connected in 2016, Q3, as well as follow up with evaluation and monitoring. No doubt this is a really challenging project we're undertaking, but the risks that we see here can be mitigated by regular evaluation of the KPIs, as well as sticking to our core values and the 4 pillars. First of all, there might be some it's hard to find a balance between intuitiveness and the data-driven approach. However, we believe that by just making small adjustments to your approach, you'll be able to adjust to the market conditions. Increasing your presence in online sales channels may also lead to a dilution in the brand identity. However, we believe that by sticking closely to the 4 pillars and making sure that initiatives are relevant to your customers, you can deal with this quite effectively. Introducing new e-commerce channels may also cannibalize your existing sales. And we believe that this cannot be taken, we have to ride the trend of e-commerce because it is going to be the future over here, and it also serves to educate the customers and increase the awareness. The financials over here show us that by implementing our strategy, your company can expect to see a compounded annual growth rate of 17% versus the 9% if you stuck with your current strategy. Furthermore, you can reach a 28% CAGR in your EBITDA, which is almost double what we'll have if you just stuck with the base case. To sum up, it all started with a dream. However, dreams can come true. Kato can, by implementing our strategy, can increase its market share in the US by tenfold. And this can be done through hiring smart, showing love to our employees, as well as tapping into e-commerce. In Brazil, we want to dominate in that market, and we can do this through continuing our e-commerce strategies, as well as focusing on mobile and the growing market of prescription glasses. Our franchises are our face overseas, and we have to do everything we can to support them because they represent our brand. We believe that international chili consultants can help all these franchises to maximize their revenue and ensure that their product portfolio is always optimum. To sum up before I leave you, with pepper in our veins, there's nothing we can't do. Thank you.
Mind if I start?
Go ahead.
Thank you for the presentation. So I'm here looking at your EBITDA slide and looking at your timeline, and 28% to me seems really high, especially with so many costs that you're going to be incurring in the first quarters, first years. So could you please show me how you calculated this? Because 28% from 14 seems quite promising.
Sorry, which slide were you referring
Well,
to?
I'm looking right now at your 28% EBITDA here graph, as well as I'm looking at your timeline, and it just doesn't seem to jive with such growth in EBITDA, and I'm guessing quite a bit of cost with the whole entire revamp to your HR, to e-commerce, to conquering the US and growing Brazil all at the same time. So please explain how you got this 28%.
28%?
Yeah, well, what we see here is in the US, we see the most growth, and this really comes from in 2016, we had operational profits of minus 114,000. This then grew into, as we started the e-commerce, obviously this has some extreme growth potential, especially in the US, where there is a pretty good market for this beforehand. So here, I think we had a CAGR over 4 years of some 60-something% because of this start in the e-commerce. So here we did, how we got there was through the use of industry benchmarking, and we used units compared to total units in the market. So I think the first year in the US we had a total units of 200,000 units sold, which was a base case scenario, and then we had, as I mentioned, a revenue stream of 19 or 17 million US dollars just there. So this really affects the CAGR of the total operations of, or the total of chili beans.
Right, so in the US, I think you have a great plan for employees and training them. However, how are you going to attract customers? Because we've seen today that the brand is not jiving there. People don't know what we stand for, who we are. So to get to your numbers of sales, how are we going to get those?
It starts off with the hiring process. We believe it started with the employees and not understanding the values and not representing it, and that's why it doesn't rejuvenate with the customers. And that's why we believe it starts with the HR program to really express that we want certain values instilled in our employees, and we believe that this can spread on to our customers. And also by using the e-commerce to kind of take it a notch further and helping them to interact with each other, thereby spreading the brand, leveraging on the network effects over there.
Yes. And if I can add to that, Katyu himself has said that it's the stories that are driving the growth and sales of our products. And having our employees really loving and really believing in our stories will really reflect or will carry over into more sales.
So do you think that we have enough people walking through the door but they just don't buy? Or
Yeah, we believe they don't buy because they don't understand what the brand stands for. And by changing the way employees interact and present themselves, we believe that they will start buying.
Joanne.
You're planning so to have a 28 increase of sales. So how do you will deal to do all this position? Go to China? How you will deal to make sure that you have everything in hand to do the increase and do the production?
So, sorry, could you?
Well, most of the increases come from this e-commerce projects that we have implemented, both in the US and in Brazil. So really, and nowadays we see that e-commerce isn't really the hardest thing to keep doing. So we implemented actually into our cost, both in the US and Brazil, $80,000 for the cost of this program to keep going, and that was in the administrative and in the salaries for the payrolls in the costing budget. Was that okay? Or?
Okay, and then also you will need to produce a lot of sunglasses or whatever. So how you will deal to do it? Through China or because we know that in China now it's really expensive.
Yeah, well, we have our production in China, where we're producing, I think it's 80 or 85% of our current sunglasses. But we also have some options to produce in Brazil if we need that.
Emerging on that question, you didn't cover at all the currency risk right now with the economic downturn in Brazil. Obviously, the exchange rate with the US dollar, most of their purchases are all in US dollars in China. This is a major risk for the business. How do you plan to tackle this?
Well, if you look at the American organization or the operations there, they will have dollar income as well. So that will definitely cover that part of the strategy, because then you pay in dollar, you get paid in dollar.
Yep.
And going forward with that, they'll have a solid profit margin as well. So if there's huge volatile increases in currency rates, then we can adjust for that with our income. Furthermore, the estimates are GDP growth, which in turn will lead to higher currency or more preferable currency rates for our part.
Okay. Just a second question, very quickly, because you said the e-commerce website. So you've planned, you said 80,000 to build a website for the US. Is that what you mentioned?
Well, yeah, that was to hire someone to set it up.
Okay. And then in terms of allocating a budget to promote that website, is there anything planned, or you're thinking that just traffic to the stores will generate traffic on your website? Like, what's your plan to create awareness about the website?
We have in our budgets some estimates for online promotions through, for instance, our Facebook page. We sponsored ads there, as well as some search engine optimization with Google. We definitely have that in our budgets.
And for
the
Brazil,
plan from Brazil would be applied to all the markets? The plan from Brazil, because that was in your Brazil section.
Yeah, that was in Brazil, but the online advertising is applied to all markets.
In addition to the social media and trend and demographics, tell us more about the consumer trends and in the future and the potential targeted new markets. How have you figured out that?
in those markets abroad, international markets, we'll use the sales consultants and their knowledge in order to adapt our products and also give feedbacks within the organization to what will probably fit that market the best. And so that'll be more like the international consultants will give us infrastructure to get more market knowledge out there, and also to map out the potential new segments that we want to target.
And to further on that, I think also the use of e-commerce will then, with the use of big data, we'll be able to also see more trends in the demographics part of that. So, yeah.
When I was reading a case yesterday, I came, for me the brand is very much driven by a very flamboyant CEO and his personality that seems to fit quite well, like Brazilian mindsets and everything. I think that, having done expansion in countries like Portugal and other countries, like it still fits. But how do you think you'll be able to translate his vision and his personality in a market like US, where most likely a flamboyant Brazilian person doesn't have that much of an appeal, to be honest?
It's not. I think Kaito stands more for the values of the company themselves than the way he kind of operates the entire business. So I think if we can get the people and the employees and the customers, for that sake, onto this, share the values of the company, I think that would be bigger than them sharing the flamboyancy of the CEO himself.
Yes, if I can add them. For instance, in LA, there's a very, very big environment for artists and actors and musicians, and those people really, really fit well with our values. So again, we think that they will share our values rather than the love for our flamboyant CEO.
We have 5 more minutes.
So maybe can you take us through a little bit more in detail how we're going to finance all of these initiatives? It's like the US, Brazil, plus a bunch of other markets that we're tackling, right?
Okay.
Yeah. The implementation of the financial consultants, they're kind of just the consultants themselves. So they take the salary cost there, as you will see. And if you look at the revenues, they will take up some part of the cost structure there. But we believe that the increase in sales will provide us with it will cover the cost and it will create additional benefits in that way.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Furthermore, e-commerce Brazil, it's basically based on industry benchmark. That's the way we create the revenue. And adapting online sites, we've taken 78,000 reais. And furthermore, the top-up marketing fees, those are also based on the industry fees, basically, in online marketing. And then we have the IT personnel salary. That's the way we believe that will go into all the additional costs what we're doing. And then we use the other operational costs. We've used the rate that they have from before, like from operational costs, and we've decreased it a little bit because the human resource infrastructure and so on wouldn't be the same for an online platform. And that's the way we got to the of that specific area.
You're manufacturing the advertising to drive people to that site here, or you're finding it somewhere else?
The advertising, like Tata, they both do marketing analytics and yeah.
And they do it, so they do analytics, or they're going to?
They provide everything, yeah. So.
Where is all your initiatives in the US with HR? Where does that fall? In your financial lines? Okay, that was just the Brazil portion. So you don't have a consolidated global image.
I think we do.
Well, I guess if not, we could look at the US. I guess just so you can see. Yeah. So where can you just walk us through quickly?
Yeah, we have the administrative costs, and you mentioned the HR.
Yeah, because you have a lot of you're focusing really on changing all of your staff, and that's what seems your plan step one.
So what we did was we looked at 100,000 a year for each of these, both the scholarship and the funding of the Florida franchise initially. And so we added the 200,000 there into the administrative costs, and the 80,000 for the start of the IT into the payroll cost here.
So 100,000, okay.
Yeah.
And then your growth in revenue is based on best, worst, base case?
And units that we
Unit sales.
benchmark from the industry.
Okay.
One last question. So, your last slide where you say with pepper in our veins, there's nothing we can't do. So there's three boxes, and so basically you want to do a strategy for US, you want to do something for Brazil, and then you want to do international franchise. In terms of percentage of effort, what do you think is most important for the business? Where do you focus most of the effort out of these three? It's very unclear to me. It seems that it's three totally separate strategies, and I don't see the global effort. So
The main focus is actually on the US. That's where we want
US.
to deal with the negative revenue right there. That's our main focus right now.
okay, even if
And
like 95% of your sales are based out of Brazil.
because Brazil, we believe the operations are going fine, and we only need to put in the comparative effort. The US would be less to continue maintain the growth in Brazil and even increase it by a bit. But our main focus would still be on trying to solve this problem that we face in the US, to try and actually crack to the market. And since we have a new store coming up in Miami, that's what we want to focus our attention. And what should we do differently now in the US?
That's about all the time we have for questions. Thanks, everyone.